Oh, hi. I'm Gage Agnew. You might recognize me from my somewhat funny tweets, or if you're lucky, you may even recognize me from YouTube.com. I've been writing, editing, and attempting to entertain for over a decade now, and I have a lot to show for it. Some of my videos have over 100 views! That's why I've decided it is time to take a bold next step for the Gage Agnew brand. Introducing the Gauge Your Interests movie. It made sense for this franchise to make the jump to the cinemas with its lovable host and minimal research into the topics. This YouTuber vanity project is ready to break into the mainstream, along with other prestigious YouTube projects such as Miranda Sings Haters Back Off on Netflix and Cartoon Network's The High Fructose Adventures of Annoying Orange. However, we're gonna need your help in order to make this movie a reality. We have a simple goal of $10 million. That may sound like a lot, but comic book movies cost about $100 million. So really, you're getting a deal with this feature film. You may be asking, what grand idea would warrant a full-length movie? Well, it's about myself struggling as an artist, and I'm still working on the first draft, but we have a strong outline. Of course, we have a stellar cast on hand. The main character will obviously be played by me with my irresistible charm and name in the title. And the irreplaceable Vinny, of course, is going to be played by Vinny. And the narrator, all the way from TikTok.com, the creator of Brock's Dubs, Brock Baker. Here's a test scene we shot.
On what seems to be a typical Tuesday morning, Gage Agnew sits in the park and drinks his venti caramel ribbon crunch from the local coffee spot called Starbucks. Come on, Gage, you're 30 years old. Just drink black coffee.
Hey man, just read the dang script.
Why don't you have some self-respect and drink coffee like an adult?
What's wrong with treating yourself every once in a while?
You said this was a typical Tuesday morning. You drink this every week?
Yeah, I only do it on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And also weekends.
That's not a treat. That's a routine.
All right, fine. If you're not gonna do it right, I'm just gonna leave.
Fine. Leave your own damn movie. See what I care. Take your silly little milkshake too. And next time, don't go to Starbucks. It's a $100 billion company that makes shitty coffee. You live in the city and you choose to go to Starbucks? Fuck you, Gage. Support your local businesses.
And that's just a sample of what we can do. If we reach our stretch goal of $200 million, we can take out the entire park and replace it with outer space. So please, take a little bit of time out of your day and a lot of money out of your bank account to support this project that'll probably never be finished. Popular media just doesn't come out of thin air, you know. It requires some money, some moolah, some sweet cha-ching. And not every one of us has the phone number of a major movie studio executive on speed dial or rich parents who mysteriously got lost in the Rocky Mountains. Gathering funding from a quantity of individuals for a project or venture is a process known as crowdfunding. Some of us have to rely on sites like Kickstarter, Indiegogo, or Patreon to make our projects possible. By the way, thank you so much for my patrons for their continued support, including Super Swim Team 7, QFGlenn, Megeara, Reynolds H, Dangus, John Agnew, Ellyrox, Loveage, and Nurchin. And if you'd like to join them, please consider donating in the link below. However, crowdfunding isn't a new concept and has been going on for centuries. Authors would try to advertise their books through prenumeration, which dates back to 18th century Germany. This was kind of an early subscription model where the publisher offered to sell a planned book or magazine, usually at a discount, to cover printing costs in advance. You can still see that practice in magazine subscriptions today. My Nintendo Power magazine is still being sent to my parents' house to this day. Oh, eh? Oh, apparently they stopped printing Nintendo Power in 2012. What did they do nowadays? Huh. They do a podcast? Why does everything need to be a podcast nowadays? Please introduce yourself, and what is your experience with crowdfunding?
Hi, my name's Michelle Stanford, and I am a comic and storyboard artist in Los Angeles. And I just crowdfunded my third Kickstarter campaign for my comic Centralia 2050.
My name is Allison Powell, and my experience in crowdfunding is I crowdfunded my feature. So I raised $61,000 via Kickstarter and learned a heck of a lot doing that. And since then, I have also helped coaching or consulting on 5 or 6 other campaigns that have all pretty much, almost all of them have been successful. All have led to at least filming of their projects, whether or not they hit their stretch goal, their main goal, or just kind of pulled in some favors, and we'll get into this potentially later, but on various platforms, you don't always have to do like on Kickstarter where it's all or nothing. But yeah, 5 out of 6 projects to hit their goals, pretty good.
Yeah, my name's Josh. I run an indie game studio called Tall Order Games, and we just crowdfunded our game on Kickstarter. We raised about $50,000, and now our video, it's for video games, but that's my experience.
Crowdfunding isn't limited to just media, though. One could argue that war bonds are a form of crowdfunding for military battles, which date back to the War of 1812. Also, the base of the Statue of Liberty was crowdfunded. The French made America this wonderful sculpture and delivered it in pieces in 1885. New York governor at the time, Grover Cleveland, refused to use city funds to fund the base of the statue. Thank goodness he'll never become the 22nd and 24th president of the United States. Thankfully, renowned publisher for the New York World newspaper named Joseph Pulitzer launched a fundraiser for the base which pulled over 160,000 donors, which raised $101,091 to complete the statue, and they even used the leftover money to give to the sculptor, Frederick Augusta Bartholdi. How nice! But that's yesterday's news, or century's news. The kind of crowdfunding I want to talk about is mainly media-based internet crowdfunding campaign. One of the first major examples of this was in 1997, when the band Marillion raised $60,000 to finance a North American tour. They're considered internet crowdfunding pioneers for this, as well as asking fans to pre-order their Anoranophobia album before they even started recording it. Fans who pre-ordered it got their names written on the sleeve notes. Sounds like any Kickstarters, Since then, we've been graced with multiple websites solely based on internet crowdfunding. The first one was ArtistShare in 2001, which was primarily for up-and-coming musicians. Since then, some of the more popular options for crowdfunding include GoFundMe, Indiegogo, and of course the infamous Kickstarter. Why exactly do people donate to these campaigns? To see a beautiful project come to life? Because of the goodness of their heart? No, silly! Well, sometimes, actually. But a really good incentive for people to donate are rewards. The higher the donation, the better the reward. Well, ideally. These range from absolutely nothing to dinner with the creator. Okay, so dinner with the creator of a vanity project isn't everyone's cup of tea, but more common rewards include like t-shirts, a digital copy of the project, or even just a thank you in the credits. What kind of incentives do you find are the most effective to persuade someone to donate to the project?
I think it's always a good idea to have some kind of, like day one rewards, because the best thing you can do for your campaign is get like a really strong start out the gate. So what I like to do is offer, early bird specials. So if you pledge on the first day, you'll get like a really good value bundle of all the rewards that I'm offering. And that really does help. Like, people will always go for those first.
You want to make people feel special and give them special offers.
I would say that an important thing to keep in mind just from a logistics standpoint is you want to offer things that are easy to ship.
The rule of thumb is any donation under $100 needs to be a digital perk.
These easy-to-deliver rewards are why only 9% of Kickstarter projects fail to deliver on rewards. The other big incentive besides the promise of an actual project is stretch goals. These are add-ons to the main project. These vary from DLC to extra episodes to even a longer movie. Only 41% of Kickstarters are actually funded, so we're going to review some of the more notable trends and successful crowdfunded projects that were made by the help of you! Well, not you personally, but like the collective you. You know what I mean? Oh, when I pointed, you're supposed to have, like, 3D glass. Some of the most successful projects in the film and television category have already some built-in dedicated fan bases before launching their Kickstarters, such as Mystery Science Theater 3000, Critical Role, and Veronica Mars. These three endeavors were some of the most successful Kickstarters in the film and television category, with Critical Role raising $11.3 million, Mystery Science Theater 3000 raising $5.76 million, and the Veronica Mars movie raising a cool $5.7 million. If your project isn't building off the foundation of an established property, it's an uphill battle, but you could always draw comparisons to some inspirations that will fuel the creative engine of your campaign. Kung Fury is an example that comes to mind with its emphasis on 80s cheese and over-the-top action. Video game-wise, the game Layers Deep drew inspiration from Hollow Knight and Over the Garden Wall. That project's still in development, but I like the creator, Mr. Chambers. He's a sweet boy.
Most of your marketing is going to be pre-launch, so you need to get like a good number of people following your project and also like an email list if you can.
That's another great hook for a crowdfunding campaign. An established creator who has proven in the past they can make wonderful pieces of art independent of any crowdfunding support. These creators go on to crowdfunding sites to have more creative freedom than they would under more traditional means. Mystery Science Theater 3000 ran a second crowdfunding campaign because they didn't want the pressure of releasing all their episodes in one batch, as was the model under Netflix at the time. I think having a more traditional platform to host your project is a big factor on whether a piece of media can be sustainable for years to come. Not that a creator should have a big interested media streaming service lined up right out of the gate, but I personally don't think a potential ongoing project can survive just off the pure enthusiastic support by the fans. Mystery Science Theater 3000 ran 3 crowdfunding campaigns, and by the time they got around to the third one, they didn't have the financial support to continue. Can't go tapping that crowdfunding well too often. You don't have to start 100% from the ground up when you launch a crowdfunding campaign. In fact, it is highly discouraged. You could have a project that's mostly done and still use crowdfunding means to get you over those few extra hurdles. The now horror classic The Babadook already had some backing, but launched a Kickstarter to raise an extra $30,000 for the art department and visual effects. The original What We Do in the Shadows movie did a Kickstarter for the American theatrical release and now has a television show with 6 seasons. Games have also been crucial to the crowdfunding scene, with games like Broken Age and Psychonauts 2, Hollow Knight, Superhot, Modern Ports of Wonderful 101, Undertale, and Shovel Knight. A lot of these examples I've listed had established creators/studios such as Double Fine Productions, who previously worked on Psychonauts and Brutal Legend, but other studios such as Hollow Knight's Team Cherry and Shovel Knight's Yacht Club games have become fan favorites through this medium. Games of the video format are not the only kind of games in the crowdfunding scene. There are also tabletop games. Some notable ones include Exploding Kittens, which has an animated Netflix show, and Joking Hazard from Cyanide and Happiness, who, by the way, also crowdfunded an animated show as well as a video game. Good job, guys. We internet creators gotta stick together. But of course, with every crowdfunding endeavor, there seems to be 10 more failed ones. Let's talk about some bad crowdfunders. Not necessarily unsuccessful, but rather projects that peeve people off in one way or another. Besides shipping, what other common pitfalls do you see in other Kickstarter projects or crowdfunding projects?
Not having the social media posts be very clear about what you want people to do.
Having a kind of a blank page, not a lot of art, not a lot of fanfare, that's not going to do you any good.
One thing I noticed that also, leads to a campaign not fulfilling is just a lack of information about what they're trying to do.
All of these things are like micro steps that you can take that add up to the success. It's not that one of them's going to make or break, but if you start getting lax on one of them, it's not going to, it's going to start leading you down a path of failure, and that's not what we want.
With every trend that gains some traction, you'll always have a group of opportunists ready to take advantage of the hot new thing. You can see this in a lot of YouTubers, but obviously I'm not going to name any names like Logan Paul. We're not going to mention Logan Paul by name, guys. But speaking of horrible YouTubers such as Logan Paul, let's talk about a YouTuber Kickstarter that went wrong. Yogg's Venture was a Kickstarter that was started by Yogscast, who produced the wonderful song Diggy Diggy Hole, which I unironically like. Yogscast was primarily a Minecraft channel, and in 2012 they partnered with Wintercool Games in order to make their very own Minecraft-esque game. The biggest problem with this campaign is they didn't have a programmer lined up for the video game. I think inspiration is a great motivator for creative pursuits, but it is incredibly tough to capture that lightning in a bottle for beloved games, especially in a time where video games are pretty accessible. Mighty No. 9 was supposed to be a Mega Man successor, with Mega Man's original character designer, Kenji Inafune, heading the project. However, even though this project received over 4 times its original goal, the game had multiple delays and ultimately came out with a resounding meh. There's a lot of hubbub I'm leaving out for brevity's sake, such as creating a trailer for an animated series that never came out, as well as launching another video game Kickstarter before Mighty No. 9 was even released. But the point at the end of the day is that this game aimed to be a franchise before becoming a video game, so funds were probably mismanaged. They didn't even release the PlayStation Vita and 3DS ports. I'm still waiting on my copy. At least they didn't release on the famous Ouya. Maybe they did release on Ouya. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. Fuck Ouya. Whatever. Shut up. Yooka-Laylee is another great example of a project promising to be a spiritual successor to an older franchise. This time, Banjo-Kazooie from the legendary video game developer Rare. Yooka-Laylee had a pretty competent team behind it, with a good handful of former Rare employees, including the composer of the original Banjo games, Grant Kirkhope, and the original lead programmer of Banjo-Kazooie, Chris Sutherland, who also voices the bear and bird duo. Unfortunately, a stack of technical problems, including clunky camera positioning, made it a bit of a forgettable game. I believe these one-to-one spiritual successors that are trying to replicate games are doomed to fail without attempting to improve or tighten the formula. Hollow Knight, Undertale, and Shovel Knight are great examples of learning from the past while building upon the genre they're based on. The exception to that rule is Psychonauts 2, which is a sequel to the 2005 game originally released for Xbox, PlayStation 2, and PC. The crowdfunding campaign was started in 2015, and the full game was released in 2021. Who knows why this project excelled where so many others failed? Maybe it was the strong creative team with ample time to produce the game. Maybe it was because they had previous crowdfunding experiences from their other game, Broken Age. Or maybe it was the $3 trillion company named Microsoft buying the developers. No one really knows. Misplaced optimism is not exclusive to video games, though. Celebrities like Spike Lee and Zach Braff both launched Kickstarters that received flack at the time for being headed by successful individuals using Kickstarter, where it was previously primarily used for struggling artists. Braff even filmed this Kickstarter video in his huge house with a cameo from Sheldon. Boinzinga. All right, we did the good, the bad, now we go into the...
Take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow.
So Super Troopers 2 on Indiegogo, I don't really want to talk about this one. Can we skip it? All right, good, we're skipping it. There's another movie on Indiegogo made by Mr. Rooster Teeth called Laser Team. They raised a lot of money, and I believe it was on an adult website called YouTube Red. They also made a sequel, I think. Super Hot was a crowdfunded project that was pretty cool. Shenmue 3 got kickstarted, and I'm surprised they actually finished that game. And LeVar Burton brought back Reading Rainbow, so now every human is literate. Oh, the last campaign I want to talk about was Star Citizen, which started pre-production in 2010, did a $2 million Kickstarter, and has continued raising funds for its development through selling in-game assets like Digital Spaceship and its pre-release content. Through this whole process, it's raised over $700 million, making it not only the most successful crowdfunding campaign ever, but one of the most expensive video games ever. Some of you may ask, why have I never heard of Star Citizen? Well, that's because it's never been officially released. It doesn't even have a release window yet. The last update we know of is supposedly the Alpha 4 patch is going to be released late this year. Not even a beta. I don't know what, but there's something up with that Star Citizen. What would your advice be to anyone else making a crowdfunding project who has never done it before?
If you're really looking at, crowdfunding a feature or a large short and you want $30,000 to $50,000 to $80,000, don't go at it alone. I learned so much. I paid money to learn, and that has been returned to me in, being able to make my feature film, and now getting to talk about it and meeting other filmmakers and getting to help them and achieve their goals.
And then when you're ready to do your first crowdfunding campaign, I would say start with something small, because you're going to learn a lot from your very first Kickstarter. No matter how much research you do, you're always going to be learning something that you didn't account for on the outset.
I would say just do a bunch of research. If you're watching this video right now, you're kind of on your way. And don't be afraid to just go, just launch. Just on the day that I launched my Kickstarter, I was really nervous. I didn't think I was ready. I was like, I almost delayed it because I was like, what if this fails? I was really scared. So I just slammed the launch button anyway. And I think you need to have a little bit of that daredevil. Try and be willing to fail publicly. Most Kickstarters that fail tend to succeed on their second go. Don't be afraid to try it, and don't be afraid to fail. and you can always try again.
Well, that's all I wanted to say on the subject of crowdfunding, but hold on! You may be curious as to know why I made a video on the subject. Is it possibly to announce my very own Kickstarter? Oh. I should have thought of that before making the video. I'm such a dummy. I don't even know how to make a YouTube video properly. Never mind. Video's over. Go home. Subscribe and stuff. Whatever. Just leave. I'm sorry. Hello. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you liked the video. If you didn't, I'll turn you into a puppet. Not really.